Assalamu alaikum and welcome everyone. Let me know how the sound is. We're getting ready to start with our opening session. So, again, a very warm welcome to Womb Wellness Week. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Peace and blessings be upon you, and thank you for being a part of this amazing opportunity and occasion to really build community and have connection with one another around issues that are equally important to all women, but a conversation that really needs to be curated in a unique way for women of faith. So thank you for being here, and thank you for caring enough about this vision. So we are going to get started. So before we start, we're going to open with Al-Fatiha, which is the opening chapter of the Holy Quran. If it's not a chapter or if the Quran is not a familiar text for you, feel free to listen, and I will be happy to put a translation in the group later if you're curious as to what we're saying. Or I can translate it afterwards, but might be easier to read later on. So if you can just kind of orient yourself and get present with where you are right now, if there are any distractions, this would be a good time to turn them down or turn them off. Also, really good time to grab something to drink, grab some water. It's important to me that you honor yourself in this space. So, what are the things that you need to feel supported? What are the resources that you need to feel comfortable and present with us today? So, if that means closing tabs on your laptop or turning off your phone if you're not using it, what can you do to invite more presence into the present moment? For me, I have a cup of water, and so you may see me taking sips, and I hope you'll do the same and keep yourself hydrated too. And so, usually, when we open our sessions together, I'll usually will invite you to warm up your hands by rubbing them together if they're not already warm, and think of a part of your body that really could benefit from some added warmth or attention right now. For some women, especially if there's challenges around expressing oneself or saying difficult things, sometimes we might feel that the throat is a part of our body that could use some more loving attention, some more physical warmth, some more support. For some of us, it might be our heart space. So, in the center of your chest, that might be a space where you feel like maybe you feel heaviness and feel like that's a part of your body where you could welcome or invite more support. And for many of us, it's our womb space. And that's a big part of why we're here today, is bringing our attention to our womb wellness, our womb space, and what that looks like and what it means for us. So, wherever you feel the need for that support, feel free to rub your hands to physically warm them up, and then you can add it to or place it on whatever part of your body can benefit from that kind of support right now. And you're welcome to recite Al Fatiha or the opening chapter of the Quran with me if you so choose. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين. الرحمن الرحيم. مالك يوم الدين. إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين. اهدنا الصراط المستقيم. صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. Amen. May the opener of our hearts, the healer of our wombs, the guide to all that is good, guide us to what is best for us in this space, guide our words to be words of benefit, guide our states to be states of benefit, and help us to obtain that which we seek and know that all healing comes from you. Amen. So, just to orient us to, you should have already seen the orientation, so I'm not going to go over the week schedule again, but I do want to bring your attention to today. Why is this conversation important and why we're having it? So, Womb Wellness Week is this opportunity for us to have a conversation curated for and by Muslim women. And to be a part of this growing awareness and consciousness that's happening around period health, menstrual health, being connected to our cyclical life and our cyclical selves, right? Our menstrual cycles, the seasons of our cycles. Many of you have found this space through many different channels. And so, for those of us who are still like, I don't know what all this womb stuff is about, I don't know why it's such a big deal. It's just a uterus anyway. It's only useful if I'm trying to have a child. And why are we even talking about it if I'm not married or if I don't want to be a mother, etc.? I'm hoping, my intention is that you might think a little bit differently about the conversation by the time we're done. I don't intend for us to be here too long today because I want us to have like really good bite-sized doses of content that we can really sit with and chew on and process and reflect on together. So I'm just going to cover a little bit about the significance of the womb and why it's more than just a uterus, or just our anatomy. So yes, and anatomically, our womb is represented by our anatomy, our reproductive anatomy, uterus, ovaries, cervix, etc. But functionally, we can also see the womb as our creative space, right? That's where literally our creative, the ability to create life it's sourced there in that womb space. All of us would not be here if we were not in the womb of a woman. And again, we have this long lineage of just existence, right? That's one womb to another, right? We're either um, born or birthing, right, in terms of the type of people that exist. And so, if we also look at the womb as a place that can be a source or a generator of our creativity, whether that's creating life or creating ideas and concepts, we'll see that across many cultures historically, the womb is more than just this reproductive space. There's more things happening here. In some cultures and traditions, the womb is called the second heart. In traditional Chinese medicine, there's an actual channel that connects the womb to the heart. And so it's said that blood can both descend and ascend between the two. And for some, this might seem really kind of out there, like, what do you mean there's a connection? What kind of vessel? What are we talking about? But if you've ever experienced a difficult emotion and saw changes in your period, this is an indicator of that connection. If you've ever gone through a time of grief and your period went missing, if your boundary was violated and you found yourself bleeding spontaneously, these are all clues, indicators, and reminders of this anatomical as well as energetic connection between the heart and the womb. I literally have heard stories of women folding over in period pain when they talk about really difficult topics. And then when they stop talking about those difficult, painful topics, they get actual physical relief of their pain. So the connection, if you have not yet witnessed it, I invite you to really look at it, to observe it and see how it might be showing up for you or for people around you. In Mesoamerican culture, the womb is considered the compass, right? It's considered a source of direction. And literally, there's a belief that's connected to the centering of the womb. So when the womb is centered optimally inside the pelvic bowl or inside the pelvic space, then it's believed that a woman's life is in balance, right? And you can make a connection with that in that if the womb is well placed, it's not prolapsed, it's not tilted, it's not introverted or retroverted, then there is optimal circulation. And if there's optimal circulation, there's optimal hormonal production, optimal function. So that's one of the ways that we can make that connection. And so this idea is that if the womb is centered and supported, then a woman's entire life is centered and supported. And then in the Islamic tradition, we understand the womb to be this really special place. I love how Sheikha Aisha Prime, she talks about the womb as being the place where heaven and earth meet. Why does she say this? Because we know that when a new life is carried in the womb of a woman, at a certain point in the fetal development, the soul enters that little being at a specific time, and that soul is ushered by an angel. And so of all the places for the creator to choose to animate life, that place is inside the womb of a woman. And I really love that idea and that visual, because it is, you know, the portal and the like the passage by which that which is not alive comes to life. And it's a really powerful thing to consider. And one thing that we're going to dive into a lot more this week, but just to kind of clue you in a little bit too, is that Islamic literature, both in the Quran as well as in Hadith literature, talk about this very significant, special connection between Allah, the Creator, and the womb, right? And so I don't want to give too many spoilers, because there are some ahadith that I've only heard from, I heard from the first time from one of our speakers this week, and I want it to have that same shock value for you as it did for me when I first heard it. And so, you know, we also know that the Quran reminds us to revere or to honor the wombs that bore us. And there's this connection between revering and being conscious of God, and revering and being conscious of the womb, and the womb ties, meaning the familiar relations that extend from the womb. So hopefully, if nothing else, we can get a clue into this universal as well as spiritual significance of the womb, that it is an honor to bear it, it is a gift to have it. And even though some cultures have accepted this idea that it's a source of shame or it's a curse or something of that nature, my intention and my hope is for us to realize that these are not ideas that originate from Islam, and we should be critical of these ideas and question how did they enter our kind of collective consciousness, where do they originate from, and what is actually the truth of our wombs and our periods. So, you know, so we can have this idea of revering the womb, but there's also responsibility to be responsive to the womb. How does the womb communicate? The womb has a language, and generally speaking, that language is manifested through the menstrual cycle, through our period, through our menstrual phases, through our symptoms, etc. Right? And the symptoms that we experience in conjunction with our periods, as well as in and around our reproductive anatomy. So the womb does have a language. And so, yes, the idea sounds really lofty, like, oh, you know, my womb is honored. But we also have a responsibility to bring that into practice and to actually respond when the womb is calling for our attention, when our womb is communicating that, hey, you're not really doing a great job of feeding me right now, or I'm not getting the rest that I need, or your boundaries are really poor and it's affecting me. And so hopefully that's something that we'll be able to get clearer on how to hear that language, and clearer on how to respond appropriately and accurately. And so through all of those ways, the womb is trying to communicate something to us. And the invitation, inshallah, if Allah wills, this week is for us to get better at hearing, get better at understanding the information and hearing it, and knowing that every period is a tool of communication. It is a conversation. Every period is an opportunity for the womb to release. And that happens physically and emotionally in many ways as well. So that's a little bit about why the womb is important, why it's significant. And every day we'll be breaking this down into more actual practices, self-care, and content and information that you may or may not have been exposed to prior to now. So that's our content for today, our opening session, our mini lesson. I really would love for you to feel connected to one another. I would love for you to engage in the group, make connections, have these thoughts, because the reality is that many of you don't have spaces, many of us, because I include myself, we don't have a lot of spaces where we can have these conversations. We don't have a lot of sisters, perhaps, that we can have these conversations with. So make use of this space, honor this space for what it is. You know, please don't use it for any other intention, but really honor why we're here. Let's set our intentions, put them in the chat, what are your intentions? Why are you here? That's actually going to be our prompt for the day that I would love for you to reflect on. So I'll create a post and I invite you to, beneath that post, tell us, where are you and why are you here? Right? And where are you, however you want to answer that? Where are you geographically? Where are you in your life right now? Where are you in your journey of better understanding your womb and having a healthy period? Wherever you want to orient yourself, you can put that in the comment beneath the post that I will post. And also, what brings you here? Why are you here? I often imagine circles like this as like a virtual soil or fertile soil where we can plant our intentions together and water them together. So bring your intentions, bring your prayers, bring your hopes, and let's water them together and let's lift them all up together. So one thing that I want to do before we conclude for today, so hopefully you understand why we're here, thinking about your intention, sharing it. I also would love for you to just be present with where you are. So we're going to do a little bit of breath work. And one of the advantages of breath work is that it helps us to get out of our heads a little bit. Many of you are probably anxious about what this week is going to be like. What are you going to learn? What are you going to experience? What is it going to be like? What are the speakers going to talk about? Who are the speakers if you don't know them? Am I in the right place? Am I going to feel acceptance or belonging here? You could be thinking a lot of thoughts, some of which may be helpful and many of them may not be, right? So this is an opportunity for us to kind of get out of our heads a little bit and to feel connected to our experience outside of the realm of words and thoughts. So my invitation is for us to do a little bit of breath work. So that's what we'll do now. And so sometimes when we pay attention to something that's so in our body and so felt, it helps us to see what's being communicated to us and through us beyond the realm of words and thoughts and logic and rationality. So for now, I'm just going to take a sip of water. And if you need to do the same, you can. We are just going to start just paying more attention to our breath. There's no right or wrong way to breathe. Just make sure you don't stop, okay? Bismillah. So just be in a comfortable upright position if you can. If you are driving, if you're cooking, if you can't really be present with the practice right now, feel free to come back to the recording. But the invitation is for you to first just bring your awareness and your attention to your breath and try to make some observations about it. So as you breathe in and out, what are you noticing and what are you feeling? Does your breath feel like it's filling your abdomen? Does your breath feel like it's high up in your chest and lifting your shoulders? Does your breath feel like it's expanding your sides? Just be present with if you feel any movement happening at all. If you feel movement, and if so, where are you feeling movement? Where are you feeling awareness and attention? So when you have a sense of that awareness of your breath and where you're feeling it and where it's making movement or expanding inside of you, I also would like you to pay attention to the pace. Does it feel shallow and fast? Does it feel slow and deep? Does it feel rhythmic? And I'm going to invite you to place your hands around your rib cage. And so when we feel our ribs as we're breathing, we may notice our ribs expanding, right? Hopefully we feel some kind of movement when we breathe in and out. So just hold your rib cage and sense, do you feel any movement happening? Is the movement having like an outward push? Does it feel upward? Does it feel a little bit of both? Or does it feel hard to perceive at all? And just consider if you bring more attention to the ribs as you're breathing, can you feel a little bit more space between the ribs? Can you feel a little bit more expansion? And if you're starting to feel a bit more expansion or not, I'm going to invite you to just hold that grip. So just to recap, you're going to hold your rib cage. Imagine you're making C's and just wrap them around your sides so that you can feel the girth of your rib cage. So as you're holding them, I want you to give a little resistance. Really hold yourself kind of firm and see how you can push against your hands a little bit. And if you're feeling some resistance, you can also use your hands to bring in your breath a bit when you're done. So push against, and then use your hands to push back inwards. And just feel if you can get a bit more breath and more space in the rib cage, if that resistance helps to bring your awareness. So let's just hold our rib cages for 3 more breaths in and out. In, out. And one last time in and out. And whenever you're ready, you can lower your hands. And if your eyes were staring at me in the screen, you could take a moment to look around. Right? Look what's happening around you. If your eyes are closed and you're not ready to open them, you can just start by blinking slowly. Slowly open your eyes when that feels ready. And if your eyes were open all along, just consider looking around you. What's above you? What's beneath you? What's around you? And if you want, you can share. Were you able to feel a bit more expansion in your lungs when you were able to hold your rib cage? Were you able to feel more space between your ribs? This kind of breath is called an accordion breath because it's inviting this expansion and this mobility or movement of your ribs. It's really important, especially for mothers. If you're pregnant or have been pregnant, sometimes everything gets so jammed up in our abdomen that it can be challenging. Some organs get shifted and out of place. So it's important to be able to literally make space by improving that mobility of the rib cage and allowing for more space as we breathe. And for the sisters with us who are not pregnant or are not mothers, sometimes certain states can keep us in a very shallow breath pattern. So I invite you to still make space, right? We're going to be receiving a lot this week. And so physically and symbolically, I hope that you can make space to receive it. So that's our session for today. Thank you for being here. Those of you who came live and those of you who are not yet here, please give time to really sit with the recording, play it back if you need to. And I look forward to seeing you tomorrow. There will be a short mini lesson in the morning, 8 a.m. GMT. I know that's very early for many of you west of the Atlantic, but hopefully for our sisters who are further east, it'll be an opportunity for you also to get some live interaction. So it'll be 8 a.m. GMT. I'll be teaching a short mini lesson, and the same time tomorrow. So take note of when we started today. Same time tomorrow, we'll be releasing our first interview, which I'm really excited to share with you. We'll be opening with menstruation in the Sirah with Sheikh Shaista Maqbool, and really looking forward to having more dialogue and conversation and exchange around these topics. All right, so that's where we end. Take very good care of yourselves and your wombs. Looking forward to seeing you tomorrow, same time, same place, and the morning session if you can make it at 8 a.m. GMT. And don't forget to check your email if you want to get refreshed on the schedule. I've also posted it in the Facebook group. So thank you for being here. See you soon. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Peace and blessings be upon you. Thank you.